With Barack Obama all set to be the chief guest at this year's Republic Day parade, Indo US relations are expected to enter a crucial phase, and not just one of promises. But challenges remain in this partnership. One of the significant ones is India's civil nuclear liability law passed in 2010, which has delayed implementation of the nuclear agreement with the United States.
The Indo US Civil Nuclear Agreement, signed in 2008 towards the end of George Bush's presidency, was a historic achievement of the Manmohan Singh government. But more than 6 years down the line, bilateral relations may be on a high, but nuclear trade is yet to kick off between the two countries, leading to much heartburn in Washington, D.C.
There is frustration over the nuclear agreement, both in the narrow sense that it itself hasn't happened, but more broadly that it hasn't led to the breakthrough in U.S.-Indian relations that many people either predicted or certainly hoped for. That said, what's really new now is your Prime Minister.
The tough Indian nuclear liability law essentially allows suppliers to be held liable for compensation in the wake of any Bhopal-like tragedy. It, however, limits the liability to $300 million. Companies argue that international norms put the onus of safety on the operator, not the suppliers of equipment. Their concern emanating from two controversial clauses. Section 17, which allows operators to sue the manufacturers and suppliers, and Section 46, which also allows civil liability claims to be brought against the operator and suppliers.
Now, this provision is contrary to the international treaty regime, and so it has created a lot of consternation for suppliers, both Indian as well as foreign.
The nuclear impasse stopped Modi's discussions with Obama in Washington last year and has been part of talks at various levels since. Sources say that India has proposed an insurance pool to limit the supplier's liability. This pool would include the 4 public sector unit insurers.
The fact is that the Russian companies, Rosatom, can get a sovereign guarantee from their government. So even if they have to insure for a higher amount, they have the backing of a sovereign guarantee from their government. The American companies, which are now essentially Japanese companies, do not have that.
But sources say that American companies still find this proposed insurance pool inadequate. On the other hand, Indian critics say any rollback on the clauses would amount to dilution of the act.
When in opposition, the BJP along with the left had stiffly protested the UPA's attempts at any dilution of the domestic legislation. And the party now does not have adequate numbers in the upper house to change any provision it then forced through the parliamentary committees. So clearly a tricky question for the Modi government to show that it means business even while protecting national interest. In New Delhi, this is Smita Sharma for Headlines Today.